Okay, and dear friends, hello, welcome everybody from around the world, around the globe, to another monthly Living in the Flow. And, it's quite incredible that we're already in March. For me, the last week feels like I was just saying to my friend this morning, I was saying, have a lovely Saturday. And it felt like I was just saying that a week ago, and yet it felt like nothing in between. So it's just in such incredible
Yeah,
times, but also they are very, very intimate times at the moment because all of these incredible changes that are happening. And so we are getting so much support, not only from other people, not only from our non-physical parts of ourselves, from our non-physical friends, but also from nature itself, like with solar flares, with so much energy pumping in to assist us to integrate, to before, for those that are aware, before the early March 21, 22, with the Heavens Cross, so that we can transform and transmute and flow all of those last bits that are still kind of, that are still sort of being a little bit not even stuck perhaps, but perhaps too solid. And it is not that we've done something wrong, it is just that now is the time to really release all of those final identifications that have where we've identified ourselves as a limited human, because we are now really as a collective, as a group, not as a whole humanity yet, but it is all available for each and every human being. But those ones that are aware, those ones that are working with this, we are as a group traveling and melting that veil, the veil between this world and that world, so that now we can't even say anymore, okay, I'm going to the other side, or I'm going deep and I'm going to bring stuff back here into the physical, because that separation is going and is gone, or the veil is so thin that we can't even say that we're going someplace else. For we can now perceive ourselves. If we've done the work, we can now perceive ourselves as that whole, as that oneness, and yet at the same time as that many, all of those, we have become increasingly aware, even for those that have not been up to now, in quite surprising ways. We are aware of what we call past lives, the future lives, all these other parts of ourselves, and realizing just what a huge entity or being that each one of us is, living, spanning across the universe and beyond the physical. And so it's quite an incredible, amazing time. And yet at the same time, it is very personal. It is very intimate. And like for me, I don't sort of feel like any great need at the moment to share all of those things that are really happening, because it is such an intimate time. There will be times later, I think, that we're going to share much more about these things. But there are, for many people, very, very intense times, and some are flying through or swimming through at these times, or rather surfing perhaps through the waves of change. And for some people are having quite a challenging time. And for those, I would say, have hope, have faith in this way, that, just allow, whenever you're in doubt, self-love, apply self-love, feel self-love, and just keep letting it go, whatever's happening. And for some people, body issues have come up. For some people that perhaps are having quite big, perhaps even terminal diseases for some, and for some, have many, many physical issues. And know that for each one of us on this journey, there was a time when we actually had to delve into the physical body in this way, because it is not easy, but easier to transform non-physical, like patterns and emotions and all of that. But when it comes to the physical, if, for example, you have a health issue, it requires a whole new level of trust, of self-love, of being able to transform and transmute whatever is happening. Like we say, it is easy to say when we're transforming things that are not kind of so tangible, so physical, when it comes to the physical body. also you can transform as a master. You can transform anything and everything. And yet at the same time, it is that next level where you need to really apply, where you can really see, not in front of others, but for yourself. Do you really trust yourself? Do you really believe in yourself? Do you really self-love yourself? Are you allowing forgiveness? Are you allowing that such, as I said, trust in yourself, and also allowing and accepting that whatever happens, whether things change or whether they don't with your body, that you can still, despite everything, love yourself, accept yourself, honor yourself. For all of these things now, you're being testing yourself in this way. How strong, how real is your love? Can you love yourself even if you succeed or even if you don't succeed? Can you love yourself despite anything and everything? Or is your love still conditional upon certain things, certain conditions, before you can really fully allow, before you can really fully trust yourself, before you can really fully self-love, despite everything, or rather with everything that is happening? Okay, over to you, dear Tanya.
Hello, dear friends, and Alexis, beautiful dancing sister. I'm going to invite everyone to just breathe for a short while with this that Alexis has been sharing about acceptance, because acceptance is really the big theme right now, and the only way to be able to move through whatever may be challenging to whoever may be listening. Acceptance, which can be, in other words, said to be compassion, is the sure, simple way to flow through anything. So I invite everyone to just close your eyes for a short while and take a soft, deep breath. Just allow that breath in through your nose and out through your nose in your own time, very gently, deeply. And in that kindness that you give yourself in allowing the breath, just dwell in that, stay in that. The kindness of allowing your breath to be a safe space of living. The kindness of allowing the breath itself to become wide, open, and natural, to find its own rhythm. So you just simply enjoy it. You stay in it, you provide it for yourself, and you allow it. And as you breathe, ever so gently, softly and profoundly, if there is any kind of self-judgment, any resistance that you feel, any fight, anything that you might be wanting to deny or reject, I invite you to just open up, crack open like an eggshell, and spill yourself out through the seams that you open in that resistance. And let your spilling out, your cracking open, to gradually dissolve and dismantle whatever the resistance may be, whatever the lack of acceptance. Just allow that to gently crumble so that you can experience relief. The relief of not being afraid. The relief of being here fully for you, for your experience, whatever it is. Allow your body to just sigh and to realize it's okay. Whatever it is you are experiencing, it is absolutely fine because it is your experience. And there is nothing wrong or right about it. As soon as you remove that judgment and crack open in your breath, just feel what it brings to you. Nothing to figure out, nothing to understand. It's just an allowing, sweet acceptance of you and your reality. That is a grand gift. And with this, I invite you to open your eyes whenever you would like to, and just stay in that warmth of your breath, that cuddle that is yours to be had, and that the only thing that really is required for you to receive it is to be in it, to stay in it. Yeah, that much love you have for you. It's right there. Just receive it. You know, there comes a time where there is much more to be had for each one of us when we're going through whatever transition and transformation. To just let go of the need to figure anything out, than to try and know how it's going to be, what's going to happen, which way should I go, and asking loads of questions all the time, and trying to figure out why this is happening if something that you consider shouldn't be happening is happening. Why am I feeling like this? Why is this showing up in my reality? Why? Let go of the why. Just land fully in the experience and allow it to unfold for you. And as you land fully in it, in acceptance, then you move through it and it brings you the richness of why. Sooner or later, you realize why, but that's not the fundamental thing. Why is irrelevant, because this here on earth is all about experience. It's not about why. And we spend so much energy dwelling on why. Why is this happening? Why did that happen? Why am I like that? Why am I thinking this? Why whatever? I would say the greatest richness we can give ourselves is letting go of the why. And oh boy, have I been an asker. of why? Oh, but it's been such a relief to let go of having to know why and just surrender to the experience. And then the experience itself will show me its richness. And yeah, here on earth, sometimes the experiences have colors that we don't really like that much, but then we learn to appreciate the combinations, because now the color is not just black or white, because now there is no separation once we allow that fusion within. So then the colors of expanded consciousness, when added to the colors of whatever seems to be challenging, it just creates something completely new. And so the experience can become something welcoming, something that opens the heart, and that more and more leads us to realize, oh, there's nothing to be afraid about. Nothing to be afraid about. And the more we move past the fear, the more it becomes our truth that there's nothing to be afraid about. And the more that becomes our truth, the more we trust. And the more we trust, the least resistance there is. And so that's it. And if a resistance then shows up, it becomes very visible. It's not something that you don't realize because you're used to being in the flow. So if a resistance shows up, you look at it and you gently work with yourself, not work, breathe with yourself to ease the resistance open, because we've all experienced that easing it open is much less painful than anything else that might be there. And then it just all flows in its own, whatever way it is that we don't know in the moment, but we allow and discover. So isn't it wonderful that this is available for anyone at the moment, actually, with this coming together of material and immaterial, with this crossing of the intersection of all of the dimensions becoming availably visible and tangible and knowable to anyone. That for me is wow, really? And it doesn't mean that everyone must choose that, because I mean, there's so much to be had in all of the other experiences that we've all had and that we've decided we don't want to have anymore. But I mean, what would be if we hadn't? We don't know, do we? So, each one is entitled to their own journey, and it is rich no matter what it is. Over to you, dear Alexis.
You've done it so beautifully, Tanya, and I love your breathing. It's just so peaceful and calming. And if everyone can just do that, like you said, it just resolves everything in it. And this truly for me also has been the experience. Now there really isn't any more the whys or the questions or anything. It is just really giving myself to the experience, giving myself, my human self, to my wholeness of me, the soul self, just to go through this, to experience whatever it is, not even naming things or defining things. And okay, so I have, if I start giggling, it's because I have a friend and he's making very funny faces because he's trying to get me to laugh. Okay, so it is all just about experience. It is all just about experience now, and just playing. And for me, it opened me, it keeps opening me up to some things that have been a desire to experience my whole life. You know how you realize that you feel certain things, and you identify with certain things so deeply, so that other things that are similar to that, but perhaps the opposite, have just been a dream. And some of those things are now so available, like to feel such wholeness, to feel, for example, for me, to feel so comfortable with my own body, inside my own body. Like, body things are such a huge thing for many of us, and the way the mass consciousness works, it is playing on that theme so much, so that we would be that obedient consumer of products, just keep buying and buying to give us that instant 2-second satisfaction. And a lot of it has to do with that, with the body, how we feel ourselves within it. And also as a soul, as a spirit, because we are we've been used to everything happening so quickly. So being in the physical, it's still, even though we've had so many lifetimes, it still is a little bit kind of a little bit unnatural in a way, because it is very slow. Things do respond, even though they've gone much quicker, but they do respond in a very slow way, and in a very real, visceral way. And it is at times very uncomfortable, especially now, because we are becoming aware of so much more, and of parts of ourselves operating within different realities, non-physical realities, where the laws of physics are different. So on Earth, the laws of physics are quite different. So that is also changing. So it is huge. It is just such a big time to get used to all these different ways of being. And I find that, like, for example, just practical examples, how in the old days I would come across something. Let's say I'm going through some videos and material and things to read, and I would put things aside, or I will mark them on bookmark or something like that. I'll say, okay, I'll watch that later, or read that later. There is no more such time that I can actually put things aside to read later, not only because it never comes that time. Time is now in some ways so quiet and yet so full, all at the same time. It's so full of everything that I don't actually have time to go back to something that I've put aside last week, not only because I don't have time, but it's irrelevant. So there's not relevant anymore to read. So it comes, it's very weird how we have to then also change attitudes and change relationship to what we write. Like, for example, for those of us that perhaps write articles and blogs and books, because, like, there you put them in a book and it's already like you've moved on, in the next week, you're like, oh my gosh, should I even read what I've written last week? And at the same time, the funny thing is that if I read something I've written 10 years ago, I'm thinking, wow, look how wise I was even then. It's kind of weird how we have these kind of different perceptions and different experiences with stuff. But like you so beautifully said, it really is this acceptance of everything, and it's letting go even more of that mind's ideas of what should be, how we should be experiencing, what we should be experiencing. I must say that the things that I'm experiencing at this time, through these weeks and months, actually, I haven't imagined that. I couldn't have imagined, like, I don't know how it is for you, Tanya, but some of the things that I've experienced, I'm thinking, wow, I have to sort of send a message, like chat with a friend or something, and giggle about it. It's like, who would have thought, I thought it would be some grand, wise thing, and this is what I'm experiencing. And a lot of it has to do with eroticism. It is just so erotic and orgasmic to surrender at such levels to your whole self, to your greater self, whatever, to your soul self. And just that love affair, between what we perceived as this side and that side, now that they're coming together, it is like two lovers that haven't seen each other for a while, and and now they're reacquainting themselves. They are falling in love again, but in a much cleaner, in a new way, in a freer way, because all of the work that the work, self-acceptance that the human has done, and releasing of all the guilt and the shame and the ideas of what, sexuality is, what this is, what that is, all of that is now paying off, because now this human part can really enjoy. Just sometimes it's just, day after day after day of being fully turned on, and just turned on and turned on. And so that's why I have to giggle, because it's like, oh, this heaven's cross, what am I gonna experience? So some fine sacredy things, like that in the old days would be considered sacred, and I'm just experiencing being turned on. It's like, oh my God, like, so it's just like, what the hell? But I go with it, because all of that's also training, because I've had interest in tantra and sacred sexuality and all of that. It really is sacred, this love affair, the union, and also them, all the games, plays, that, not games in a bad way, but plays that we've been playing out or acting out in the human world, because relationships are one of the most important things in the world, isn't it? Like, love and romantic stuff and marriage and all of that. And so now I'm realizing why we've had to have so many experiences with these, to really, taste it, to check it out, to see, and also to see all the wounded parts, which now we realize that they're not really wounded. I mean, that woundedness, it just doesn't exist anymore. Like for me, I don't feel it anymore. I can't even imagine it anymore, kind of. But it sure is fun. Just can't say enough. And I thought, well, am I going to share? My friend is probably laughing, because she said, oh, you're going to share it anyway because you can't help yourself. So, should I even talk about this? But there is so much discussed in all of our groups and communities, but I think the eroticism very often isn't discussed, and yet it is such a huge part of the whole thing. And it's very clean, it's very clear, and it doesn't actually need another person, because it has to do between, the parts of self coming together in this beautiful way. And these parts of self have been made in heaven for each other, so they fit. They're quite different, but they fit together so beautifully. And that too then actually can be expressed with another physical human being. It's up to, there's just no boundaries, no end to the choices and potentials of things we can experience. So that's kind of my sharing for today.
Wow, yeah.
Now I can go back to playing, I guess. I just have
Go back to enjoying the whole orgasmic feature of being alive in a physical body.
Alive, yeah.
I usually say, because there's, of course, has been for many people, and for me there was a long time ago, but yeah, this resistance with being physical, right? It's been there for eons of time, and throughout our evolution as beings, either in a spiritual sense or in a totally non-spiritual sense, there's always been this resistance with being physical. But that's the whole key of why things have felt so hard, and the drudgery of being in a body, of being alive. It's just in the resistance, because if we were not to be in a physical body, to experience all of that which it has to provide, why the hell would we be here on earth in the first place? I mean, if we're going to be etherical, then we might as well not incarnate. So, and one of the magnificent things is that precisely that eroticism, that orgastic feature of being alive in a physical body. And just like everything you said, I corroborate 100%. So I'm experiencing all of that which you have shared. And actually, I've been experiencing it for a while. And sometimes I have these sensations on my spine. This, all of a sudden, I can be outside in the garden, and there's this. Well, probably it's a Kundalini rising or whatever. I don't know. It just is, my spine just fires up all the way up into my brain, and it's just like this blast of energy that is so orgastic and alive, and wow, it just makes my whole body tingle, and I can be in that for loads of time, and it just stays there, and it's not euphoric. So a few different things from prior experiences of being
and it doesn't
uplifted.
it doesn't need an orgasm, does it?
No, exactly.
Like you can be
so
for days
it's not
like
genital.
this.
It's not genital per se. It's not genital. It's not euphoric. It's actually very grounding and in that, whoa, there is such a peace, such a wow. It is so magnificent to be here now, that just coming to complete peace with being physical and enjoying it fully. And then another thing that's fabulous, that's been happening to me for some years as well, is like, even if I am having a sexual interaction with someone, and the images I get are images of forests and gardens and art forms and kaleidoscopes of the most beautiful things you can imagine, but never sexual. Like, I don't get when I'm having making love to someone, it's not like I'm not getting all of those images of kind of pornographic stuff, whatever. It doesn't cross my mind. It's like, for me, the eroticism is in the beauty, the actual magnificence of having my senses, my physical senses, and of course my non-physical senses that expand the physical senses, but being amidst a forest with the scent and the feeling of the soft earth when you put your foot on
is why I put out so many nature photos.
Yeah, it's erotic for me, but not erotic in a way that, it turns me on, but not in, it's such a different thing from what sexuality used to be it in when making love or not. I mean, be it I'm making love with life all the time, basically. That's that's the thing. And so that's why I just smile all the time. It's like, sometimes I catch myself like walking down the street, even in town, and I'm smiling like this lunatic, like,
I know, it's
people...
it's like being in the shop. I was the other day just doing normal shopping, and I'm pasta and this, and I'm thinking, and I'm feeling so turned on, and I was looking around people, I'm thinking, God, if only they knew, like, how turned on I am here. Oh, the picking up salt and pasta and the sauce and this and that. It's like in just these everyday situations,
Yes,
but for me, this eroticism is also, like for you, it's amazing how similar we are, because we haven't talked about this before.
Yeah, It's
like
the
this,
first
especially
time we're mentioning it.
yeah, this last decade, this
Yeah,
last full-on
precisely.
push for this last leg of the journey of
Yeah.
wholeness, straight away, like when it really full-on started happening for me was very erotic. So I remember I was night after night, like processing all these big wounding and blah blah blah, and yet at the same time feeling so turned on all
Yeah.
the time. And lucky for me, because like for you as well, no one really that much talked about, except that I had kind of a few pictures, like if you remember that statue of Teresa, the old saints of the old Teresa, is it Teresa de Avila? I don't know how to say her name, but like when you look at her face, it's very ecstatic, like she's looking up at God, and it's like she's
Mm-hmm.
got having an orgasm. So those are the kind of things, and I thought, well, this is okay, even though no one else talks about it, and even those people that I've chatted about this kind of stuff, they haven't experienced it in this way. I have,
Yeah.
but it was just important to really go with that. You go for whatever that you experience, however that you experience
And
it.
you
And
don't judge
yeah,
whether it's
no,
normal, abnormal,
that's right.
whatever,
Yeah, you just go with it and and enjoy it, basically. And luckily,
Yeah.
for the eastern kind of, not religions, but let's say if you look at Tantra and Kama
Mm-hmm.
Sutra and all of that, they've been much more open about these things. And also the
Yeah.
older Egyptian teachings, and
Mhm.
they used to be much more open about these kind of things. It was just that Christian Middle Ages time
That
where,
covered everything up.
yeah, and I think it had to all do with that control, because once you
Yeah, because
control
if
this,
you're like this, you're free.
that's right. Yeah.
You can't be fear-based. That's the whole point.
Mm,
When this orgastic kind of living takes hold, fear simply does not have space to
yeah,
dwell. So that's the big thing.
yeah,
And this is part of the crystalline body, or the light body, or whatever one wants to call it. This is what it's like to live in this. And I remember initially, when my big fusion happened, in the first months and even in the first year, sometimes it was like whoo, it would take my breath away, because there were
mm,
moments where it seemed I was plugged into a socket and there's this huge influx of energy coming in. But it wasn't a bad thing, but it's like I could be walking down the street and all of a sudden it comes, and I'm like, geez, you can choose other moments, because it's sort of, it's not practical. I mean, I'm going about my human life here. It's just it's just like if you're in a relationship with someone and someone just calls you, like this person that you're having a romantic affair with calls you out of the blue, and you're in some kind of serious situation, and then all of a sudden you feel all warm and wobbly inside.
and
The same
tingly, and these
same thing.
waves going through your body, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's like,
and
oh
all of
my
a
God.
sudden you almost start shaking, like, oh my God, what is
Yeah,
this? And so that happens to me with life. I mean, it doesn't require someone
yeah.
else to boom
Yeah,
to
no,
open up that
no,
thing.
no. It's majority. It's not about someone else at all. The someone else is really an icing on the cake, that
Yes,
you can
it's
actually.
wonderful. It's
It,
wonderful.
it's like the top, the icing, but the cake. It's the cake itself. It's really you with you, and
Yeah.
the parts of you with other parts of you, and it is just so incredibly beautiful. Like this whole, the feminine that is whole, the feminine
Yeah.
part, and the masculine that is whole, that is healthy, that is
Mm.
without those old hang-ups. The love affair is just so incredibly deliciously beautiful to experience and to feel, and it's a never ending, and it's a never boring, and it's
And
funny
it's a
because
discovery, because it's not
discovery.
repetitive.
Never, and it's constantly. This is what I find amazing, because like that. that I would think, oh, things get boring or something, that now I know myself enough, or something. But it's not, it's just every day this new stories,
Yeah.
new feelings, and new ways of connecting. And so kind of like, it's really weird it kind of goes with these times too, because for me, it's bringing me completely really into the now, into the here, because I really don't have time anymore to think about the like other things,
What happened,
what
or
happened,
yeah.
blah, 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 all of these things, because this now is becoming huge, like
Yeah.
not that it's become bigger than it was, but my focus
But
is
the
now.
awareness of
That's
it.
it, yeah. And then somehow I managed to just do all of the things that need to be done, the practical, and also with work,
Mm.
with what we're doing. But it really isn't any plan. There's very little planning ahead. So
Yeah.
it's
For
just,
me, it's really hard to have scheduled times,
yeah, yeah,
and it's like I really have to keep track of my notebook if I know I have something booked for a certain day, because
yeah,
it's just so much about being
yeah,
with whatever is that, you don't know when you book something for another day that, at that time it just, maybe you don't feel like it, but if it's booked, okay, you're going to respect
yeah,
it,
yeah,
because,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
this being so in such a sweet surrender to
Mm,
whatever is happening in the now moment is a level of freedom
mm,
I never ever imagined
mm, mm,
could be possible. And an important thing is also coming to this awareness that I don't work to live,
mm. Yes.
and experiencing that. It's huge because
Mm,
we've been educated in that way,
mm-hmm.
that, you have to work to live. And you you might be thinking, okay, so how do you materialize? I have no idea, but the thing is that the money keeps rolling in one way
Mm,
or another.
mm, mm,
Yeah, from my work, but it's not that the work has more importance than any other of the moments that I live. So the work, what we call work, is a small part of my life, but it doesn't feel like work, but okay. But then everything else, like just the simplest kind of things, like planting trees, which was the thing this week, planting trees and plants and digging soil and doing stuff, all of those things just take up much more of my daily time than anything work related, though work is no longer work, and I lack for nothing anyway. So it's just so, wow,
mm,
how the hell
mm.
does that happen?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Mm,
can't give a clear kind of definition of how this happens and how this shifts, but it happens and it does
mm,
shift, and this is my experience now.
mm. For
And
me,
it's something I
yeah,
dreamed
sorry.
of, but now
Exactly.
it's actually happening. And time, as you were saying, is like one week is like a whole month, because it's so productive, in a sense. Like life becomes so productive
Mm,
because there's no kind of boring, like you said. It's totally not boring. It's so filled and fulfilling and productive and so on, that you get so much done in a short period of time, that, yeah, time has become more and more volatile.
mm,
It's really
mm,
strange and beautiful, but it's not strange because this is the experience. So,
mm.
in a way, if we were to think about it and want to explain it, it's strange because there's no real, way to explain it. But if you're experiencing it, which is the case,
The,
it's
the,
my
the,
normalcy.
the explanation is being in the flow.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
explanation,
It's
isn't
my normalcy. I mean,
it?
it's, yeah, there's no
Yeah,
big deal. This is it,
that's just it,
like, also removing the idea that there's a big deal around all of it. It's no big
Mm,
deal. This is
mm,
normalcy. This is it.
mm,
So
mm,
the this is it is very present to me. Like, this is it, whatever it is that I am experiencing now, today, in this moment, this is it. And nothing else matters really. And I have a lot of trouble more and more remembering what happened. Like, sometimes people meet that I haven't seen in a while, you know, oh, do you remember that time when this and that? And I'm like, oh, well, no, I don't. But it's not because you don't care for the person or didn't care for the experience. It's just vanished, you know? Yeah.
For me, I remember very distinctly, like, let's say October, November, December, when I was kind of noticing how really important it was to really not flow, but to allow myself to be supported like never before. Allow myself supported by life, by my all parts of myself, by my soul, by my I am that I am, and so that I wouldn't lack for anything, so that all of the things will be provided. And it was just an even bigger shift from that image that we have to go out and do things and get energy, but it's just really coming back to that free energy, experiencing it. And for me, I was thinking, okay, so I choose the free energy thing, but how is it going to feel? What is it even? I had no idea. I couldn't explain it and stuff, but I just kind of go for it and say, okay, so let's experience what that is like. And then, you know, then that day comes when you say, aha, so that's what that is, you know. And but that's really, last 6 months was really for me a focus. Not that I was focused, but it's just like, as part of this journey, as being part in of it. That's right, as part of what needs to happen to be in that space, is to actually rely on, to be soul reliant, not self-reliant, but soul reliant, in this way that whatever, like you said, whatever, you know, that you need, it rolls in, the money rolls in, the stuff rolls in. And like you also said, that stuff also doesn't take over. And also to be able to have this lifestyle where, you know, it's that when there's solar flares, you have time to flow with the solar flares, you know, that you're not sort of in that kind of schedule where, okay, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 is a job, and in regardless of what happens, you know, so that kind of stuff is gone. And like you said, how did we do it? For me, it had to do with that trust, and just keep letting go, you know, letting go of those kind of ideas, and trusting that I will be okay. And sometimes, there was, had to, you know, you have to deal with that survival fear, and learn how to live very, very differently. Like, you know, for someone, let's say that that goes to job Monday to Friday and whatever, they have a regular paycheck, so they have a lot of money, but they have no time, so they're very poor in time. And then when you sort of slowly, or maybe fastly, however you do it, change that, then all of a sudden you have more time, and you realize that, you know, because before you're afraid that you won't have, because you won't have all that money regularly coming in, that you won't be able to cover this and that. But then when you have free time, you can actually do so much yourself. So you're not reliant.
A lot of stuff.
That's right. You're not reliant on that money. And then slowly you learn how to also bring that money in, you know, because you all of a sudden now you have time, you change your lifestyle, you change what your priorities and
what
habits
you need,
and priorities and all sorts. And you have time to make connections, you know, with people like we did, and all of that. So it's like this beautiful journey. So that's why I always advise, like, go slow, you know, don't, I mean, okay, people can plunge right in and then jump into the water before they know how to swim.
But it might be a bit more tricky.
That's right. And
no need.
There's no need, because you don't actually then have that time to really enjoy the whole process. And this is also one of those things that we have to, learn to enjoy all the different journeys. Many, like there's a big journey of a lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
but within it, there's so many little journeys as to, okay, so I was like this, and then I want to become like that,
Mm-hmm.
like the new potential, and then I just enjoy how, and all of the different intricacies and nuances within that journey. That's what you as a soul have come to the physical. That's what you as a soul do any experience anywhere, whether in physical or
Yeah,
non-physical, is to actually experience that. And
experience it.
that's right. And this is one of the things that we have to again learn, because we're conditioned within that, so within societies that we live, that experience is not important, but it is that what we produce and who we are, that we're that obedient worker, an obedient consumer, an obedient part of a responsible, within the society, whatever society wants us to be. So, and then this enjoyment of the journey is put on a back burner, but now then it becomes to the forefront, so that you enjoy. And then you really, as you enjoy so many things, I become really appreciative of the human journey, because you
Yeah,
realize just how many flavors it has, how many tastes and
it's
nuances and
rich.
subtleties, and every journey, even if it's something that may not be that enjoyable, like every there's journeys within one day. There are a lot of little journeys, and it's not that journey that in the old days we said, oh, spiritual journey, we're going to seek something. We're not talking about that, but we're just talking about, let's say, how do you become an entrepreneur? How do you become a business person? How do you change from this to that? All of these kind of things are a journey, and
And
delicious
everything has a
journeys.
background,
That's
really.
right.
I mean, you don't, like, sort of, when I say I don't remember stuff that happened before, it doesn't, it's just because it's already pooled into
Mhm.
me. So the richness of everything we've experienced is valuable, and it is what allows the rest, because in a sense, we've gained the knowingness and the wisdom around how this goes, how that goes, and whatever. And then we release the limitations we created with some of those experiences, but it just pulls into us. So the integration journey is that it just all pulls into us as the ocean. And then we have this immense ocean that we are, to gain whatever we need from, to experience whatever it is. Like, for instance, in my case, when it comes to business and being an entrepreneur, and that I've been an entrepreneur ever since I was 8 years old or whatever. I used to sell stuff to my colleagues at school, and then I used to teach my colleagues English and all sorts of things. I mean, yeah, and it runs in my family as well. So for me, it's a simple, easy thing. It doesn't mean that it's simple and easy for everyone, but it is possible if one wants it to be. So then what happens is each one can drink from whichever pool of wisdom has been available to them or is available in the now. Because sure enough, if the invitation is coming from within to experience a certain path or a certain way, then the way of how to implement it will be provided. And it's not like we need to know everything about something before diving into it. It's actually the opposite thing. You discover it as you're walking into it. Like if we are stepping into the ocean, right? First, you come to the waves and you feel the water on your feet, and then you gently go in and further, and you discover the experience of immersing yourself in the ocean as you go along. So it's exactly the same thing. It's not like we need to understand everything about something. If we have that inner calling, so to speak, that want to experience, not from a point of like mind, kind of mind fuck, sorry for the expression, that no, that's the really good thing. And if I'm like that, if I achieve that, I will be so and so. No, that's not, if it's coming from the heart, that's not even there, because there is no certain kind of aim. That's exactly where I need to be. No, it's where I need to be is where I am at. And so the experience just unfolds. And so the teachings that we need, the people that can guide us and show us different ways, it just shows up. And especially nowadays, with the advent of our wonderfully beloved internet and everything, there's so much stuff out there, the things just pop up in front of our eyes. And there's all sorts of online courses. There's so much richness out there, and everyone's sharing so much that it's super easy, so it's not about following someone else's example. Like, for instance, yeah, for me it happened in this way, but also I have a background and I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and so it's easy because that's my kind of fabric. But so it's not like it's that way for everyone, or that everyone knows how to be an entrepreneur. It's something that you discover if you want to. Now, if you want to have a 9-to-5 job, that's also fine and fantastic. And there's so much that can be discovered in there. And we've spoken about this, so I'm not going to go into it, but it's just the thing that we discover, we keep on discovering. And then again, it's always so new, because, for instance, in marketing, there are all these rules and regulations, and they're changing all the time anyway. But I've done all of these marketing courses and so on, and most of them I did to learn what not to do, or what I don't really want to do. And so whenever I've done a new one, like even last year I did one, and I'm like, oh no, my God, I'm not going to go and do that. Oh no, forget it. That's too much. And so I choose, I choose my own way, and each one of us can choose, because I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid if there'll be clients, there won't be clients, people will show up, people will listen, won't listen, people, doesn't matter. We're like you and I, we're here doing this, living in the flow, because for you and I, it is an absolute enjoyment. And it, of course, is multiplied if more can enjoy it. But it's not because we're expecting anything from it. And that's with everything in life. If we can release the, expecting something from whatever it is we're implementing, it's such a simple thing, isn't it? It's just, there you are. You just go ahead and experience. And entrepreneurship can be lived in business, and it is actually lived in any other way, because choosing to become a soul conscious being, well, we already are, but to become aware that we are that and to live that fully is entrepreneurial.
And then everything becomes an entrepreneurship. Like, even for example, let's say for me, that I do those 3 days at the moment as I go to job every couple of weeks. And for me, it's not that I actually become an employee. For me, it's like I am an entrepreneur, and part of my entrepreneurship is that I also do that. And in that way, it actually it changes it, like this whole thing it changed my ideas, because one of the things was, for me was, okay, so how do I find a way to feel free within these situations? And that was even before, when I still was dependent on a job, and it was like that, because I thought of myself as a free person, and part of being free is doing that. It's kind of like, let's say, like cooking a dinner. It one can look at it as something they hate to do. One can look at it as a slavery, or you can look at it as an enjoyment of playing within that chemistry of the kitchen, and an essential thing, and something that you do with love for yourself. So there are all these different ways to perceive, and like you said, there's nothing wrong with anything, and we each have strong points, and we can then help and assist others. But it does actually ask of us whatever we're doing, that we change the relationship to it, so that
Yeah.
we are dependent on our soul, and then everything else then flows from
It has a
that.
different flavor.
A very different kind of flavor there, and also we're not identify, like you said, we're not identifying with the results of that. And I like, as you were talking about that, I remembered when our dear Tobias told us, let your creations, give them freedom to go. And that's what that represents to me, that whatever we put out, like, you have to really learn. Maybe someone will turn up, maybe no one will turn up, maybe loads of people will turn up. You just have to be okay that you put it out there, or whatever, post. Maybe someone will like it, maybe no one will like it, maybe many will like it, whoever, whatever happens. But for me, it's like when I create something and I put it out, I get this this creativity to not push, but creative idea to put it out there. It's like, okay, then it's not, once I put it out there, it's on its own in this way, that it's job to then interact with whomever interacts with it. So it's no longer up to me what it does or doesn't do. So you make a painting and you put it out there, and then that painting then itself interacts with whomever interacts with it. So that's what art is for me. And now the whole life is art and creativity. And so it really frees oneself in incredible ways, because it takes away all the limits and rules as to what it should be, and those commercial rules, or you should do it, and of course there has to be also, it's an artistic dance. It's a dance, this and that, because there are certain things you have to do it for that commercial value. But like you too, like for me, I was doing all these, the courses and whatever have you on sales and marketing. And like, if you look at the last sales and marketing that I've looked at a video, it is all about sexual energy virus, because it is all about pushing, manipulating people, trying to find people's vulnerabilities, vulnerabilities, to use them to push things that they don't need, they don't want. So it's really awful. I was really shocked, because when I actually, because for a while, like, I did that in school, and then I didn't do for a while, and then when I thought, oh, maybe I should look at some sales and marketing video that had loads of views and all these great review, comments, and I'm thinking, what the fuck, really? Because it was all that sexual energy virus, that we're talking about, that mass consciousness, and millions of views, and that's when you realize, wow, we are where we are, the pioneers, so we don't actually have a lot of views. So it's also to be okay with that, because the more you go into these spaces of mastery, the less people there are, because the less people
it becomes
really,
quite rare.
That are, and like, you often, probably you, Tanya, also, you often think, oh, should I then generalize more so that I can reach more people?
I've thought about that, but no.
But it's really, maybe there will come a time, because you can't say, maybe when the next waves are really ready, but
then
the thing
it's different.
Then it's different. But also, I find that there is actually now, like you said, there's so many people sharing, and the new generations that are sharing in a more that general, they're sharing it so beautifully, and they have so much talent, and I'm thinking, wow, that's great, because I can't write that much anymore at this time.
Right.
But they're doing it, and it's like nearly what I would have written, So
there you are. It's there. It's out there.
It's out there. So they're expressing, and they're reaching so many people. And we perhaps,
I feel so happy about it.
Yeah. And we perhaps are not that, for that many people, because we always are, because once the masses, many people are in that space, I've already moved on, because there's always that next, and there's no way, it's just not in my character to
it's just who we are in terms of, like, our signature is pioneering. That's it. It's not better, it's not worse. It's the way it is. It's just that. I mean, we can't not be, because that's what we are. There you are.
I mean, And this is also like what we talked about, that at the beginning, you really have to accept who you are. And once you
Yeah.
accept all these things, which are actually quite the opposite to the mass consciousness would say what
Mm-hmm.
you should be, you accept these, then you will have this incredible freedom, because all of a
Yeah.
sudden you have no more these rules and limitations put upon you. You can just really create in loads of ways, and you can create something for more, a little bit more commercial, and you can create something that you think maybe no one will like, but you just enjoy it because it's
Yeah.
not like that you just do it for this beautiful enjoyment and fun. And then
Yes.
sometimes you're just like, you know what, I don't want to write another book. And you don't, you know.
Yeah,
That's it, you
exactly.
know.
It's just, whatever.
That's it. And then whatever happens next year, who knows? And then I will do whatever. And this is so important, so full on now, really. This being in this now moment and just be okay. And like you said, not there is some planning, but there is just like I don't have to think about the future. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like that thread to the future has kind of gone, and the future's moved
Yeah.
here, and I just said it and then I forget about it, and then when that event actually physically happens, then I think about it, and all of a sudden I have everything I need for it,
Yeah.
within right in that moment, rather than before it was all that preparation and practicing. And like you said, it's because we have that wisdom, we have that knowingness, we've experienced what we talk about, what we teach, what we share, we have experience. So in that now moment, I can pull out that experience, and can relate with people that are going through certain things. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
wow, I forgot about this. But yeah, like now when someone else is explaining it, I totally am now in that space where I too experienced it. And I can then share how I've kind of learned from it. But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to think or prepare, beforehand,
Yeah.
this kind of program. So it's interesting how it's all developing. I'm just kind of going with it, and just like you too, I sometimes have to pinch myself. It's like, wow, look how supported I am in every day, and how much time I have to experience what I'm experiencing, and how much I don't need to really feel the need to go anywhere. Or if I want to go, I go. If I don't go, I don't go. And like everything is sorted, the things are done, fridge is full, all of these things somehow are done. Some of the mind things are a little bit behind, like I'm not always any more on top with just changing everything in a website straight away, because maybe
Yeah.
like the date, and it's maybe a
Oh
day or
boy.
two behind, but
Mm.
it's still all happening. So
Yeah, and I mean, for those of you who dream about being entrepreneurs, whatever, like we have this similar experience, Alexis and me, in terms of, I mean, it's not that we don't have a lot of stuff to do, because yeah, my website has a lot of keeping up to do, and I do it all myself. My social media, I do it all myself. My blog, I do it all myself. So everything, it does take time, it does take a while. I do have to, like, a few days, usually it's like a few days in a month that I set aside for that, and I like to sort of focus totally on that for those days without any other distractions, because it's more productive for me. And then I can just let it go. It's all done, it's out there, and then I can go ahead and do other stuff. But it does require responsibility. I mean, it's not like we decided to be entrepreneurs and then
it's
all of a
not
sudden there's nothing
frivolous.
to do.
It's
No,
not
no, no. There's
frivolous.
a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to create. And actually, we're always creating new stuff, both you and I. So we're always putting it out there, but we create it because it comes to us in a sense, like, oh, wow, yeah, okay, let's do that. And then the funny thing is, like, for me, it's like this, like when a new kind of creation comes up, is, oh yes, that's so wonderful. But then, okay, now I have, like, there's a lot of
the
stuff
nitty
involved
gritty.
in it. Exactly. It's not like you just click your fingers and
Yeah.
ta-da, here it is.
Because there's
No.
a lot, even just like creating a banner,
Yeah,
or like
creating a banner, a new
a
page,
picture,
for
for
instance,
YouTube, or intro and outro,
whatever.
and putting it all together,
Yes,
and upload
all
to
of these
YouTube,
things.
and just putting a link
It's a
out on
lot of
a lot of
details.
little things all the
And
time.
we have to really get our shit together
Mm-hmm.
for now. Yeah, now it's for this. And so like I really discipline myself in that sense that it's not frivolous. We do
Mm.
have our business and it's not frivolous, but you
It
you do
doesn't
it,
feel
it's
like it.
done, and
Yeah.
then it's done, and then you're doing
Mm.
something else, and yeah, it's just the way it is. But it does take responsibility
Mm.
and focus,
And you
and the
have to do it.
responsibility
You have to
you
do
just
it.
have to do it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, and I find, because I know how to do these things, but I only know because I learned myself
That's
and
right.
made a
Yeah.
lot of mistakes and took a lot of time to learn.
Mm.
But the thing is, sometimes I do delegate this or that, but it takes me longer
Mm.
sometimes to put something together to delegate to someone else, because of
Mm.
course I have to say what I want and put it together, and then to do it immediately. Like, so
Mm.
then sometimes the task of delegating is also time consuming, and
Mm.
then you have to review, see if it's the way you want it to be, and this and that, and
Mm.
sometimes all of those steps just, oh, well, forget it,
Mm.
I'll just do it myself, and then I do it. And the other thing I find also, because our energy, our consciousness, our frequency is unique and different, and this pioneering kind of thing, because we're the ones doing it or putting our energy into it, it does make a difference. So
Mm.
it's our signature, it's there, the energy is there. And so that also
I was
is
gonna
is
say,
a
like when you
reason.
give it to someone else, they
Yeah,
input their energy in, isn't
yeah.
it?
So
So yeah.
it's a really fine dance, and
Mm.
many times I've considered, eventually handing the editing of the website to someone else and so on, but then it's just, you just do it
It's
and that's
another
it.
job. That's the thing.
Yeah,
It's another job,
yeah.
to actually do that. So for me, the same. It's just quicker. You just do it, and it's kind of like, living a life. Like, let's say, you can tell that a person, if they have many lifetimes, and if they're wise, because somehow you just manage to do everything. Like, let's say I kind of, if I imagine myself, I'm moving around my place, and as I'm moving and just walking from this room to that room, along the way, I do little things, and you go
Hmm.
to the bathroom and you do this and this and this, and it's not without even thinking. And yet
Yeah,
then the day is finished, and somehow
and
everything's
so
been
much
done.
got done.
That's right. Or like if you look at the garden, like let's say you would be a great gardener. For me too, the plants just grow,
Yeah,
but people will say, oh, you have what do you do for the plants to grow? I just say, oh, they're just there in the garden. I don't really do much at all. They just do. But then when I really looked at it, it's kind of like, no, from my experience,
you did
I
do a lot of
do a
stuff.
lot
Yeah.
of things, little things. Okay, yeah, the
Hmm.
light here, a little bit of fertilizer there, da, da, da. So
Yeah,
all the time, but it's such a tiny little things
it's
all
a
the time
flow.
that it doesn't really show. And for me, that's how I do it with website, or
Yeah,
with my
same
work.
thing.
I sit down and it's like, oh, I have to change this, da, da, da. And then I maybe
Yeah,
listen to some song and maybe do a bit of
yeah.
dance. And then I
Then I
remember,
stop and
oh,
watch a tiny
yeah,
home video,
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
I'm into learning how to make tiny homes at the
There you
moment.
go. That's it.
Or
Yeah,
I stop and do
yeah,
something else, and
yeah.
then I go back to it.
Yeah, and then I go to living room and I do a little bit of there, or go to the garden, feed the birds, and then come back. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I have to do that. So it's kind of like it gets done in that way,
yeah.
and it feels like you haven't really done anything, and it feels like easy. But when you really look at it, it's just that you've
There's a
done a
lot
lot,
there.
and done a lot. Just when you're in this room, I've done, and then I've gone that,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, so it's kind of like you said, is that incredible flow. But it has to do with everything. It has to do with how we do things, how we
with
prepare
enjoying.
things, yeah, and how we also use like things like, for example, let's say healthy foods and
Yeah,
all
with
of that.
enjoying. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, enjoying, but it's not really that, okay, now I have to go on some big healthy because
No,
already I
you
know
just
how
feel
to
it.
wash, how to
Yeah.
pick. When you go to the shop, you can feel
Yeah.
the liveliness of the fruit and the veggies and which ones to pick. So it's kind of, this wisdom oozes out of you
Mm,
into your day all the time, and it's not like
yeah.
something you have to think about, but it's not something that you have to list but it's
Yeah.
just this, because we've integrated all this stuff, like what you said,
Like
that it's,
keeping the house tidy and
that's
clean.
right, and
I
it's
couldn't have it any other
effortless,
way.
that's right,
It's
yeah,
effortless.
but you just kind of do it all the
Yeah,
time and little by little, and it's kind of part of life. You don't notice it, and yet the
exactly. And
results
yet it's
are
done.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's is that kind of, so this kind of translates into all parts of one's life, and that's why now I can see why we can live without those lists and plan, that huge planning, and
Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
and constantly having to read the goals and the whatever have you, because it all kind of focuses on this now moment, but within that now moment, it is the wisdom
Mm-hmm.
that guides you, and you live your own wisdom, and that
Yeah.
makes such a huge difference, and it makes it effortless, and it also makes it that it looks like you're doing lots to others perhaps, but to myself I look like I'm not really doing much at all, in that way. You know what I mean? Doesn't
Yeah,
doesn't like other people
totally.
can comment, oh wow, you're doing this, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm thinking that I'm not doing much.
I look around. I look around and I just, how the hell did this happen?
Yeah,
And it's all
yeah,
done. It's like,
yeah, yeah,
how? Yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot
yeah,
getting done, especially because we have these constructions that I've spoken about.
yeah, yeah,
And we look around and wow, so much has been done.
yeah.
When was that? Because it was totally effortless, it's so much
Mm,
fun. It's
mm,
just that. Yeah, it's
yeah.
living life fully in the body and enjoying it.
And enjoying and reaping the
The
fruits, the
rewards.
harvest, the rewards
Yes.
of the wisdom that we've
That we've
integrated
that we've
along the way.
accumulated
Yeah,
for
yeah,
so many millennia.
yeah, 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 and it makes it just such an effortless life, and you don't even know it until you actually meet someone who's a newbie, you know,
Yeah.
who's a newbie to this life, and
Yeah.
and they just don't even know. Like, there are so many people walking around that just simply, unfortunately, don't even know how to work with their emotions, how to do the most simplest things, and I think this is what a lot of the mental health issues that are around have to do with that there's so
Yeah.
many people just really just don't know how to do the very basic things, so they need help just to how to do very, very simple basic things, and to something that you wouldn't even think about, that seems so logical and so normal, and yeah, they have those journeys still in front of them, and if we can give any advice, it's just to bloody enjoy all the freaking journeys.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Even the
Totally.
totally newbie ones.
Yeah.
Enjoy being clumsy, enjoy falling, enjoy the
All
whole
of it.
thing. So
All of it.
it like, and just have the humor with it all. That's what we can say: humor, acceptance, forgiveness,
Yeah.
moving on from things, not getting
You've
stuck
said
with
it beautifully.
identifying. Yeah. So,
All of these things you just said, wrap them up, keep them close. They are all that is
yeah,
necessary.
yeah, and just yeah, pretty much. I think we've kind of come to the end, haven't we? Is
Yeah,
there?
I
Yeah,
feel so.
it
Yeah.
feels like we've sort of
Beautiful
talked
session.
short. Well, short for us because
Well,
it's
not really
supposed to be
short
an
because it's
hour.
already almost 1 hour and a half. So
Yeah, but for us, it feels like kind of short. But it was short and with punches, and energetic punches. Yeah, we just, oh my gosh, and then next one is kind of after, even though
Yeah,
I know it's kind of biggie. It feels like a biggie event because many people feel it's biggie, and
for
then
many,
yeah,
because like for me, I'm already experiencing what
yes,
this thing
yes,
called heaven's
yes,
cross is, something is part of my
yes,
experience and
yes,
has been for a while, and for you too. But
yes.
for many it will be more tangible and
Mm,
visible then, so who knows
mm,
what we're going to talk about
that's
next time
right,
in
exactly.
beginning of
Yeah.
April.
And for me, I must say, like, because I thought, I was really thinking, like a couple of months ago, 2 3 months ago, I thought, am I going to experience anything different? But I must say that, as always, yes, me
Yeah,
too. I mean,
it
we're
keeps on
experiencing
evolving.
the whole inner world, and it's changing, it's moving, it's yeah, it's quite something. And those
Yeah.
orgasmic experiences, phew, my friends now laughing, like making faces again. Okay. Say
So we
no
thank,
more.
yeah, exactly.
Oh
We
dear.
thank each and every one of you who have been here playing with us today, dancing with us, laughing with us, feeling with us. Thank you so very much for joining in. It makes a huge difference. Though, as I said before, Alexis and I would be enjoying ourselves anyway. You being here and joining us, your energy tickles us and makes it even much more delicious than it would be if it were just the two of us having a chat at the cafe. So thank you all, and thank you for your donations. And check out our websites because we've got loads of yummy stuff in there. Yeah, and I guess that's it, Alexis.
Indeed, enjoy.
Exactly.
Until next time, namaste.
Cheers to tickles.